Wakeskating is just kind of like skateboarding on water. Came from wakeboarding where guys are attached to their board. About 20 years ago, some guys started riding without the boots and just, waxing up the boards or putting skateboard grip tape on them and just trying to do skateboard tricks on the water. Guys started doing it, like riding like wakeboards with just traction on them, like in the late 90s. And then the first boards started getting made, like, right about 2000 or a little bit before then. And from there, kind of opened the doors for everybody and opened up their eyes to this whole other sport that you could do without boots. For me and for a lot of people, it was a lot more fun to do. And the possibilities were kind of endless on the tricks that we could do. I was just kind of in the right place at the right time and got into it and just kind of fell in love with the sport and have wanted to try to push the limits ever since. Orlando, where I live and where I grew up, is kind of the hub and kind of the epicenter for water sports in general. Going out on the boat with my friends and getting everyone loaded up and just going out on a perfect day like it is today, and everyone just kind of taking turns and watching everyone ride and pushing the limits. So this here is my Wakeskate. It's a 42-inch board. Basically, the board's made out of all wood, so that's what's going to give it that weight so it won't fly away from you in the air. We use like a combination of bamboo and maple wood just to kind of give it a little bit of flex and also just to kind of get that weight right. We tried doing them all maple like that, but they were just too heavy. So this board here is around 13 pounds. I think in wakeboards and stuff, like people are trying to get the boards as light as they can, like super light and stuff, but for us it's kind of the opposite. I mean, the boat's doing 23 miles an hour. When you're cutting in, you're probably doing close to 30 or a little over 30 miles an hour. So if you have a really light board, as soon as you try to kick the board away from you to do a trick, it's just going to get behind you and blow away. So you can see that there's concave built into the top, side to side to kind of hold your front foot in, and then on the tail to kind of hold your back foot in, kind of like you'd see on a skateboard. We just run traditional grip tape on top. Then you just wear any normal skate shoe, just something flat-soled, just give you traction. Also going to protect your feet from the board, hitting your foot if you crash or something like that. Behind the boat, I like this 42-inch board. Board's a lot, smaller than a wakeboard and stuff, but for the tricks that we're doing, it's like kind of perfectly designed. The boat, we kind of want to like set up the same every time so it feels consistent and feels the same. Like we have GPS speed control on these boats, so the speed's locked into like the 1/10 of a mile per hour. And then obviously you get the wake even. Just basically makes like an endless ramp that you can just jump and back and forth until you crash. We have a ton of extra weight, like water weight, that we can put into the boat, like into ballast tanks and stuff. So basically we're just trying to put more weight in the boat to kind of sink it down in the water. It makes a little bit bigger footprint, so it makes the wake bigger. The bigger the wake is, the higher you can go, and the bigger you can go and stuff. So I prefer to ride behind a big wake when I'm behind the boat and stuff. But yeah, then once you have the boat weighted up, you also want to keep the boat even too. So if you have too much weight on one side, the wake isn't even, so it'll have like white water on one side and then be kind of flat on the other side. So you try to get the boat, is perfectly level, and then the wake is the same on both sides. So the takeoff and the landing are the same. Most of the tricks that we're doing on wake skates, come directly from skateboarding. Obviously they look a little bit different, but yeah, we're doing like shove-its and big spins and stuff, and then, guys are doing some kick flips and some flip tricks wake to wake now and stuff, which you're starting to see a lot more and more of like consistently. We're basically just trying to kind of look at skateboarding as like, kind of like a guide for like what tricks are possible, and then trying to do them on these bigger boards with like a lot faster speeds. Being creative and trying to do different stuff is kind of the name of the game, at a certain point, especially in this day and age with social media and everything else. Things have changed a lot from when I first got into the sport, when we're shooting film photos and everyone was just trying to get shots in the magazine and stuff like that, where now if you get a good photo and it shows up in a mag, it's 3 months old at that point. Now everything's just so like instantaneous. Now we're always trying to do different stuff that people haven't seen before, and trying to do new tricks and stuff like that obviously is going to help push the sport and innovate it. There's a ton of great riders that have been coming up into the sport that are doing some amazing things, and it's just been really fun to being around since the beginning and kind of help push the sport along, and then to see where it's going now, and all the newer athletes that are coming up are just taking it to the next level.